This?
And on today's show, we're going to be talking about ways that you can better organize yourself, as well as going over a couple of men's health awareness, because this month of November is Men's Health Awareness Month. So I kind of wanted to put those two topics kind of together, just because Santi and I especially, we've been shuffling through just so much different events and videos and all that jam, and I just kind of want to delve into it and kind of talk about our experiences with like organization and how we organize ourselves and manage not to go crazy. But I also want to talk a few about some of my mental health realizations that I've had as of late. But anyways, before we get into it, I wanted to ask you, Santi, what is your go-to drink? So like, do you drink, like, what do you like drinking? Like if something were like, if you were really thirsty, what's like the first thing that you go towards?
Water.
Water? Okay.
But if I am like, so I don't drink soda. It's very rare that I'll take soda. It's too sweet for me. I've kind of programmed my taste buds to not use a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
And so a lot of things are way too sweet for me, even pastries. So for me, if I want something really cold, and usually it's sparkling water.
Sparkling water is so good. I have to go with you on that one.
And I think anyone who knows me, like, I'll always have some type of sparkling water with me.
Yeah.
I know Javier gets me sparkling water. He's like, "You want something?" I'm like, "Yes, sparkling water." It's my go-to thing. And also because you can make a lot of combinations with it. So for example, if I'm craving a soda and I can like get blueberries, like
Yeah, you can mush up like a whole bunch of fruits and lime. I know lime is
and
very
then you
popular.
can just put it, and it's just like this. You can taste the flavor of fruits without the sweetness in it. So that would be my like soda stuff that I would go for.
I would definitely, yeah. I mean, I reach for water. I have water right here, right now. And what one of our coworkers, Diongo, has actually put me on is chia seeds. Adding chia seeds to my water. So I've just been adding that, and I mean, it doesn't add any flavor, but I think like it makes me It helps with like my digestion. I think that's like one of the benefits of
I know
drinking
chia has
seeds.
a lot of benefits. I'm not sure about digestion though.
Digestion, okay, maybe I feel like it
But
like
it's
helps.
something. It does help you with something. I just don't know it at the top of my head.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like it's cleaning up my stomach. So, anyways, I've enjoyed drinking it. But yeah, definitely water is my go-to most of the time because it's free. That's the other thing, is that water is free. At least, you know, in some places like here. Well, in most of America, you can get water off of the tap. I don't mind drinking tap water. I know some people mind drinking tap water, but I really don't. As long as it's water and it's like clean, then I'll drink it. But thank you for sharing. So moving on to organization. So again, like I was saying, we just finished last weekend was our Day of the Dead event for the Multicultural Center of Marin, and Santi and I, along with also Chris, who we've had on the show previously, we've just been shuffling through so much in terms of video creation, creating outreach, all the social media outreach that you were doing with Chris, Santi, all of that is just, how did you manage even doing all those projects? Because you had so many multiple projects at some point that I was just like, wow, how were you even managing that right now?
I had like 2 laptops in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at some point.
At one point, editing one video, and I was editing 2 videos at the same time, shot and filmed at different days, but we had to have those, like there were deadlines. And yeah, I had, at one point I had 2 computers, like when something is loading there, I'll move into the next and kind of juggled it that way. I don't recommend that very much because I think each project has its own energy, its own, what would I say? Its own feeling and emotion to it, that I think sometimes intertwining both of them can feel a little bit interesting. But I think one of the things that really helped me is beforehand, like I had a vision of what each project was going to look like.
Okay.
And so I tried my best to stick to that.
So that's a very big point that you just put there, is that when you're managing all these projects, you already kind of have in your mind what the end product should be.
Yeah.
Because I think if you're in the position where you have to get all these projects done. It could be homework as well, like an essay, something like let's say, because again, I think this can be applied to a lot of things, but just using your example of having multiple videos to have to edit, you at least know going into it that, okay, this video here, I need it to be this long, and I need it to be basically showing this type of information, and that's for that video. And then for this other video, it needs to be longer, and it needs to look like that. Like, you're already going in with a game plan, or you're creating a game plan. You're not just going, okay, it's like, I'm working on this video, and okay, now I'm gonna go work on the other one because I don't know what to do with the other one. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a good position to be in, because if you're not aware of or sure of like what the project's supposed to look like, then you're just going to create more stress for yourself with already having to shuffle multiple projects.
Yeah, and I think also, and I would love to hear more about this from you too, for me, managing different projects at the same time, the biggest thing that helped me a lot was using my calendar. Like, my calendar was my best friend, because for example, it might seem, if someone comes up to me and tells me, hey, I need this video for, let's say, to promote this mic. It's not just like, it depends.
It's not just grabbing a video camera and then showing the mic and then saying something about the mic.
There's creative,
like a script. You have to create a script.
There's a script. There's a creative storyboard behind it, and a team behind it. And so, and you have to schedule everything in time. And at times, like for us, there was a video we did with Aria Agresiva, which we'll have. We'll do a show with them, but their video, we booked them like right on the edge of time. We recorded everything, but post editing, right after you go into editing, you look at the footage. It seems everything fine while you're on set. But then we faced with a lot of issues, and we were like, whoa, we were not prepared for this. And we learned, like, that's good that we left a little bit of time and used our calendars saying, hey, we need to have this by this time. Like time marks and where we need to be. And then that eventually we had a couple reshoots and a couple of really just using our creativity, how to fix certain things. So for me, my calendar was everything to me, looking at it. And also, it's not just like I have this one video I'm working on, everything else is ignored. I had multiple other things that I'm working on. So the calendar really helps. If you have a solid calendar, when someone comes in and says, hey, can we do this? You are able to say, actually, I can't because I have this going on. But if you have everything in your head, I can double book, and then you don't want to do that. You don't want to double book. So I don't know how it worked out for you, but for me now, calendar, especially the online calendar, has been very, very helpful.
Yeah. So for me, what's really helped is having, so what I do, so I had to record a couple events for for College of Marin, and they're like long panels, like they're panel discussions, and the footage can be up to like 30 to an hour long of just one panel. And if I don't create any, what I do is I create notes. I create timestamps based off of like what the camera's time code is. And I'm like, okay, at this time, at this second, they talk about this. This would be a good thing to highlight. Because I have to basically have to turn this 1 hour discussion into a 20-minute video, right? So I have to hit all of the highlight points. So already going into the filming of this event, I'm already taking notes of what I need to put into the edited video. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to waste even more time scrolling through the video basically rewatching the whole hour again to find the highlighted things, unless I already have the notes on my phone. So that's one way that I've found that has helped me organize. Similar to you though, with like scheduling for certain events. Like if I have to go shoot at a certain location, I have to coordinate with the people that'll be there, right, to conduct interviews. And then that takes a whole other sort of planning and organization between you and the people that are going to be in the video, because if you guys aren't on the same page, then, nothing's going to get done. So just to be more efficient, it's just good to reach out to the person, I feel like, a month in advance, if possible. I know sometimes it's not always the easiest thing to do. Sometimes, especially if a project is like due like next month or something, you need to get someone quickly. Then it's like, well, you have to reach out to people as soon as you can, because the sooner you find someone and coordinate with the right people, the less work you'll have to do at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And since we're talking about multitasking, like I said, for me, it's scheduling, and also taking and adding on to what you were saying. It's the first time you do something, whether it's we're talking about film in this case.
Yeah.
But if you're doing the homework or you're preparing for a test, or in your job, there's something that you did and you realize something made it. If something took you longer than you thought, and there was a lot of things, take note of that and then find out how can you address that. In your
Absolutely,
case,
yeah.
In your case, I bet you had to at one point, watch the full hours and hours of footage,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, that takes me a lot of time, but now you're like listening live
And taking notes. Yeah.
So that's something that you developed after, and that's my biggest suggestion to others. It's, hey, look at what's working, and also at what's not working,
Right?
Because then the next time you can improve. For example, for me, I am horrible. I mean, horrible at remember things. So I have a specific, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a specific page on my phone where it has my Google, and it has my reminders, and it has like my Asana. Asana is
Like a task reminder
a
tool.
software that I use just especially for MCM. So that's on my screen, and it's just, for me, I've forgotten a lot of deadlines. I've had, a lot of things that I'm like, oh no, I forgot, because of all these other things that are piled up. So with that, I prioritize, and I'm like, this is important, and I move things around. But that's what I use for my phone. And then when I'm not, working, I'll switch it, and it's something completely different. But those are things that have helped me and kind of stay on task, and not to let people down. Because often what we do is, I can take it in, and then you let people down. It has happened to me many times. And I'm like, oh no. So that's something that I've been doing, is writing it down and being more aware. And for example, with Google Calendar or any calendar, you can put the address of where you're going to go.
Yeah.
And it tells you how long it takes. And like Google will tell you, and I'm planning accordingly a lot more to suggest like using the tools you have to just make your life easier. And because when you're so unorganized, that leads to stress. And just imagine if you pile a lot of things over and over yourself, like literally, it's hard for you to move. And it's hard for you to breathe. But if you have things organized, it's a lot easier for you to move and be flexible. And maybe you have to change certain things, but it's easier for you because you're organized. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. And I wanted to backtrack a little bit and talk about that what you mentioned is letting people down, because that's ultimately what causes the most stress for me. Is if I'm working with a client, or same for like if you're doing homework for a teacher, you don't want to let that person down or have that person like, be disappointed in you, because, at least to me, that feeling is terrible. Right. And I want to always, when I'm creating a product, I want it to be the best it can be. I don't want to just like, I can't say the word, but like half it, I just don't want to do like a bad job on it. I don't. So that also makes me tend to take longer on projects, because I'm kind of a perfectionist. And if it's not like the way I really want it, I'm going to take longer on it. But I've also learned that sometimes I just need to have it done. I just need to get it done.
Happens to me too.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, even if there's one part that I knew I could have done better, if the client, ultimately, if the person that you're making the video, if the video is for yourself, then you can be more, I feel like you can be a little bit more loose. But if you're, if it's running off of someone else's time, you need to make sure that you deliver that product no matter what. during that time frame. So same for homework. You know, if you're turning in homework late, that's going to make your grades go down. But if you turn in your homework on time and you still find that balance of, okay, I'm going to turn this assignment in on time, but I'm also giving myself enough time to really put in the time for it to look good, for me to feel good about it, then that's how you become a successful student, really. It's really good time management and organization, which I know is really hard to do because there's social life as well. You know, that's the other thing, is that I hate having to work on a project for more than like 4 to 5 hours at a time, because even with homework, a lot of it is just sitting still and like writing, or sitting still on my computer editing. Like that, to me, I need to like go outside for like at least an hour. So it's good to take breaks as well, like mental breaks, because you can get so far deep into it, I think, if you're, you know, either doing homework or working on a project. And I just don't feel comfortable in those situations. So I really tried to just give myself enough time to like work on it, like give myself a time frame, like, okay, these next 2 hours, I'm going to work on this video. And then I'm going to have an hour of break to just do what I want and just come back to it after that hour or something like that. Because you're still, again, you still want to get the video done on time. So you don't want to take too many breaks, you know. But again, it's about finding that balance.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the letting people down can be very stressful.
Yeah.
But there is something that has me always thinking about letting people down. And it was a question that I had someone ask me. For example, you're in the middle of a project and you know you can knock it out like in the next hour. But someone comes into your I don't know, family, friends, and they say, hey, like, let's go do this. Inside you have that feeling of saying no, because you know that's the smart thing to do, finish the project. But you feel like if you say no, that person will, I don't know, not like you, will be mad at you, disappointed in you. But if you say yes, you know that person will be happy. But then later on, what if you come back at 11 and 11:30, let's say, and your project is due at midnight?
Yeah.
You then scrunch everything into a very small time. And the question the statement they said is that if you are afraid to let people down or be disappointed in you, it's better to say no than yes. And then I said, why? And they said, for example, if I say no, that person can be disappointed for 1 second or a minute. But if I say yes and I'm hanging out with them, but my mind is thinking, I need to go do the homework, I need to be not present, then that person will think, oh, they don't want to hang out with us, or they're distracted. And
that plays into procrastination, which you know is such a big thing. Like I used to procrastinate so much, especially in school. I used to procrastinate on like essays, like on big projects and stuff. That's why you always like, you know, hear a lot of students complain, oh man, it's the last week before the project's due and I haven't started it. And it's because procrastination is like, you know, we have that feeling that like, oh, okay, I can get it done in 3 days. And then you let it get to 3 days. And then once you're in those 3 days, it's the most stressful, you know, it's the most stressful time in doing that project.
Biggest thing is writing things down. And if you're not good with technology, get a regular calendar, a planner, and plan out your priorities. And when you manage everything, you then are able to put in your time.
Yeah. And then another thing I'd like to touch on about organization, this is more of a collaborative part of it, but I think it's great when you get to work with someone else. I know group projects in a school setting can be kind of iffy, especially if not everyone knows each other. Because usually when I was in college, I remember they would put us into groups, like random groups with students that, I mean, I didn't know. So we would all be put into a group and be told, okay, you need to get this presentation done in the next 2 months. And then you have to go out of your way after school to meet up with these colleagues of yours. And then sometimes one of the colleagues isn't putting enough work into the presentation. And then you end up having to do the whole thing because no one else in the group is contributing to your project. But it could also go the other way where everyone in the group is contributing to the project and you end up getting the project done a lot quicker. I feel like that's more common when you know the people that you're working with. Like if it's a friend or if it's someone that's also in the same professional setting as you are, who's like really passionate about whatever you guys are doing. If there's like that connection already, I feel like it's so much easier to just collaborate and get things done. I see that also when I'm recording music in here, is if everyone's kind of on the same page of what they want to get done that day. Because for me, if I'm helping someone record a song, I'm just asking them, okay, what do you want to get done first? And they're like, oh, okay, I want to get this and this and this done. And that's a lot easier and more efficient than if someone were to come in and say, oh, well, I'm not really sure where to start. And it's like, oh, well, now that requires a bit more hands-on on my end, which will ultimately lead to it taking a lot longer. So that's why I always recommend people that if you're going to record music or if you're going to go, if you're using someone else's time to do something, just make sure that you're coming in with a plan, right? And that's going back to what we were just mentioning at the start of this conversation is if you go in with a plan, ultimately it's going to save everyone so much more time.
Yeah, just having an idea of what the plan looks like. When you're in a project or in work, a lot of things can change, but you're still in the same path. You're just swerving, moving in different ways, but you're still in the same path. So definitely for stress from multitasking, it's having your priorities. And like I mentioned before, it's making sure you're respectful of people's time, your time. And by your time, I mean it's finding a space where you can have a workout or, have meditation going on. So I think it's always important to have that. But in order for you to have that, you need to be aware of where you're spending your time.
And how was it for you? Because I know for the Área Agresiva video, as well as the car procession video, a lot of that footage was also you worked with your friend. Mm-hmm. How was that experience? Like, how did you feel about that?
It was really fun. Mm-hmm. I think working on your own, it's great. Yeah. But having someone else working with you and having a vision, if I'm low, he can be very high in energy. Yeah. And his energy will eventually catch on to me or vice versa. So that was a big thing for me that I really enjoyed. And again, a lot of things went wrong in that video. A lot of things went wrong. But if you look at the video, you'll realize it's a well put video together. It's very well done. Yeah. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of things that we weren't expecting, were unplanned, but we had a vision. We were working around it. We were figuring it all out. That was very helpful. And again, there were times where we slept really late at 2 a.m, 1 a.m, but we were realizing, hey, where's our scheduling? How does it work? And that's kind of how our scheduling had to be because we both were working in different times. So again, if I didn't have an idea of my schedule and he didn't have an idea of his schedule, we would have double booked in many, many ways. And that's what you don't want to do.
But you don't want to do at all.
And that's where you disappoint people. So
ultimately, well, thanks for sharing that. I agree. I think going also with the idea that if the person you're working with is passionate and is on the same page as you about what you guys are trying to film or get done, then it's just a nicer experience for everyone because you could just get, like you said, I think you did a fantastic job editing both videos, and the good thing is that your friend, despite some of the issues you guys had when editing the video, you still found a solution because you had kind of another perspective from your friend, right, to help you out.
Yeah, working as a team again. It's not very. It's not always beautiful. It can be, speaking from our experience, it was frustrating at times too because I think there were things he liked, there were things I didn't like. There were things where we were like, we combined together, but at the end of the day, because we were on the
creative differences.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like I don't like you. It was more of like I don't think that looks good. Or sometimes we were trying to do the same thing, but we couldn't find the right words to describe it, so we weren't getting each other. So definitely, when working as a team, and it can be very stressful, but try your best to not take it personal and like it's
No.
that person, but it's more of like, okay, we're working on the project, what is best for the project. And when you have that mindset, I feel like it does something with you, and it's like, okay, you said that, but we're working on the project. So
And thinking of it in a different context, let's say that you're doing a solo project or you're doing a homework assignment by yourself. It's also good to just ask for help from others who have already done the project or have already done like the essay or taken the class. Because the more kind of guidance you can get from other people, because I think sometimes we get caught up like we need to figure everything out on our own. Well, when you're in school, you have your teacher, right? Your teacher's also there to like help you out with your assignments and let you know, hey, I'm having issues with this. What can I do to make it better? Or same for a video. Maybe you have a video editing friend and you're like, hey man, like I'm trying to get this video to look this way. Do you know how they did it? You know what I mean? That to me has also been a big part, and I've always never shied away from asking for others for help or advice, because I also think that's a really good way of you not just growing and getting your work done, but also a good way of just keeping in mind who you can maybe reach out to in the future to help you out.
oh, I agree on that.
Yeah.
Always ask for help. And for homework, a lot of people might feel like I shouldn't be asking for help, but homework, in my understanding, it's
Yeah.
it's seeing what you know and what you don't know. And if you don't know something, go ask your teacher and ask them, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. Or if you're in a school project and you're the only one working there, advocating for yourself and saying, hey, I'm letting you know ahead of time.
Yeah.
That way you don't come last minute and say, oh, they didn't work on their project, but it's last minute. But it's you working and saying, hey, I did this, but my group is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that way it doesn't affect you and you're protecting yourself at the same time.
Absolutely. And I know sometimes you may not always have a friend to ask for advice or a teacher who has maybe the time to help you out, but always look for other resources. Also online. Like I find so many solutions to a lot of things online now. And I think, again, just use your resources so that they can help you and benefit you, ultimately creating less stress for you, because they're out there. And, just try avoiding to try to do everything by yourself when you're not too familiar with a subject. So
I agree.
Yeah.
And to reduce stress for multitasking or any stress in general, get enough sleep.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
It's a huge one. If you are not getting enough sleep and you have a lot of things going on, it will affect your mind, the way you're actually performing in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So getting enough sleep is super important. I know that I slept when creating the videos at times at 2 a.m., very, very late.
And you'd wake up super early.
But at times I had to, but I made sure, hey, I need a recovery day where I need to sleep in or take a nap in between, because I can feel myself getting more stressed when I wasn't getting enough sleep. So yeah, we were working late, but I was trying to figure out, looking at my time, hey, where can I find a time to even just close my eyes for 5 minutes or a day where I can recover my sleep.
No, that's a big point, because if you don't get a right amount of sleep, you're gonna wake up, like you're saying, with no energy, and you basically waste another day because you're not in the mindset or have enough to really keep working on a project. And you just want to go to sleep again.
And you can collapse. It has happened where people are just very stressed and exhausted.
Yep.
And they just collapse. So taking care of your body, your mind,
and your mental health
is super important in order for you to be at your highest performance. And like I said, just not everything is gonna be the same for everyone, but sleep, being organized with your time is super important for you to reduce stress in school, work environment, and even in your relationships, family, friends, or a loving relationship.
I agree. So thank you for sharing. I'm gonna switch gears here. and go into just one announcement real quick before we actually start talking about men's health for the second half of the show. What I wanted to let everyone know is that open mic night is being postponed until January of next year. So I just want to thank everyone who has supported open mic night this entire year. It's our first year really launching it, and I think it was a complete success. It was a great open mic last month. It's just that unfortunately we're kind of closed. We're closed the end of this month here or actually I'm going to be away. I'm leaving to Mexico at the end of November. And then in December, we're closed here at the end of December. So we'll be back stronger than ever for open mic in January in 2024. So I just want to let everyone know that. But moving forward, I want to talk about men's health. And, you know, I wanted to touch on both physical and mental health because I feel like we've talked a good amount about mental health already on the show this year, but I think we should also put an emphasis on like people again continuing to eat better. And like we're saying about stress, a big factor too is what you eat. Your diet plays a big role into like how you end up feeling, because like let's say you eat something really greasy in the morning, it's gonna make you feel super like, or eat a lot of carbs in the morning, it's gonna make you feel so sleepy. Like I don't know, that's how I feel. Like if I eat like a bunch of carbs, I feel like super sleepy after, right? So you're just keeping in mind that maybe you should eat something more light in the morning. I know a lot of people like to drink coffee in the morning. Are you a coffee person in the morning?
Actually, no.
Me neither. I've never really liked coffee, but I know there was a point in my life. Well, she has afternoon coffee here, but something that I've learned is that if I start drinking like energy drinks, like I am an energy drink kind of guy, but if I'm drinking energy drinks every day, I start feeling all weird. Like my time schedule, like my sleep schedule starts getting bad, and I feel like I end up actually getting more stressed that way, and it's not good for not good for my physical health, not good for my mental health, because you know, for about like an hour and a half, I'm like in the zone and I'm like getting a lot done. But then after that, it's just like I don't get anything done the rest of the day because I feel so tired and I crash and I'm just like, I feel uncomfortable. So I just want to share that. Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing. One thing I have learned with personal experience is that mental health is connected to there's three of them. And so think of a chair with three different like legs.
Okay.
If you take one, that chair is going to fall. It's not stable. You need three. And what are those three? It's your mental, physical, and spiritual health. Those three are combined. If one is not taken care of, that's when your mental health and everything can collapse. Here's why. Because, for example, when it comes to physical health, if you buy a brand new car, what's the often thing that we do when buying a brand new car? We want to make sure that it's getting the right oil, it's being maintained so that it runs better, it lasts long. If it's a very, very expensive car, you're putting a certain specific gas.
You're taking care of it.
Yeah. But what happens with our body? We don't care at times. We can eat so much junk food, take a lot of sugar, and all of these stuff. And it's, to me, that we are willing to take care more of a car than our own bodies, which are really what move us. And if you take in a lot of those foods that they don't have a lot of nutrition, that's really what it is. Nutrition, yeah. Your body will start to shut down on you. And
it's not getting the proper vitamins.
Yeah. And that is connected to your mental health. If your body is not alive and it's not performing, your mind is not being connected. Also with your spiritual, whether you believe in whatever you believe in, that's really important with your heart, how you feel, and the within you, right? And so all of those to me are combined. So when that's not taken care of, it can lead to, unfortunately, stress, and stress can lead to being hospitalized even.
And one thing I also want to touch on a physical health term is substance abuse. and how common that is. I think when people are dealing, especially men, when they're dealing with mental health. When I see people my age, even in high school, I remember there was guys who would just drink like on the Fridays, on the weekends, just because they wanted to feel less stressed out. But again, they're hiding it. They're like, it's just a temporary, very bad temporary solution, because one, you're gonna feel, when you're drinking that much alcohol, when you're over drinking or getting drunk, it's like, it's not fixing the issue. It's not fixing what's making you stressed. It's just temporarily making you feel a little better, but it's not going to ultimately lead you to success if you just keep doing that, right? And you're going to become addicted to that type of substance, and it's going to start affecting your body as well, like we were saying. 'Cause if you drink too much alcohol, your liver is going to start to go out, and that's not good. So again, just keep that in mind. And also, I know a lot of people fall into substance abuse as well by smoking marijuana. And I know like marijuana has a lot of like medical benefits, and I don't have anyone against. I'm not against marijuana at all, but what I want to say is that don't rely on marijuana too much either, because I also see people just rely on marijuana to just basically cool down or chill down like every single day, and I don't think that's healthy either, because again, you just start relying on these substances. So it either be alcohol, marijuana, or something else. But again, it's just keep note that substance abuse is bad, and there's always limits to everything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying when it comes to stress, men's health, and it tends to be, I'm going to numb this, whether it's stress for work or we all have had traumas, a lot of experiences in our lives that we don't confront. Maybe you grew up with your father being abusive, and you carry that all through your life, and maybe that adds on to stress that you don't even know of. Mm-hmm. And you lead to, I just want to feel numb, and alcohol and drugs is what people use. And I loved something that you shared in this our Spanish show, and it said it's not a good way to deal with that, because you're just numbing it and you're not actually working on what needs to be worked on. And I thought that was so true, because when you say, oh, it's temporarily, but you get used to it, then you don't see what's wrong with it when it becomes a serious addiction. You're like, no, it's fine. I'm not doing it to do this or that. But you just, it can get out of hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that also people get influenced by their friends, or like the people around them. Like if they're around other people that are like telling them, hey, just smoke some weed and you'll feel better. I know that can lead to that path as well. Mm-hmm. But I said always just be smart with who you choose to hang out with, which kind of leads me to my other point that I wanted to talk about was, I know I've touched on this a couple times on the show, but I cannot stress enough that if you're feeling, depressed or feeling like, having some sort of mental health issues, suffering from sadness, if your friends aren't supporting you in like, at least when you reach out to them and tell them, hey, I'm feeling this way, can you just talk to me for a little bit? And they're just telling you like no, or ignoring you all the time, think about new friends. Because to me, what I've also don't take advantage of people who are helping you. For example, if a friend is giving you that time and that space for you to just take out all of your feelings, like what you're feeling inside, if you're doing that, don't think that your friend isn't gonna continue to feel bad for you or anything. Because again, if the friend is giving you that time, you need to respect that time as well, because you need to understand from another point of view. Because I've been on the other end where I have given people, all right, you can come over and we can talk about how you're feeling and I can support you the best I can. But then later on, those people just don't stop either reaching out to me or are telling me, hey, all these emotions that that I was, warning you about, you just kind of acted on them without even really regarding what I had told you. So I'm just saying that I felt like I've been abandoned by some friends after I had given them a lot of emotional support, and that just made me feel even worse. So it's just something I wanted to add on about.
Yeah, so I understand where you're coming from, giving time and not being respected. But at the same time, I can see how it's hard for others too. But when we talk about, men's mental health and you said, reaching out, I've noticed that in men, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I'm talking from experience when it comes to, being from Latina, that a lot of my family, it's hard for them to speak about their feelings and say, I'm struggling, which is why they lead to alcohol. And one thing that I've noticed in a lot of friends, and I tell them, hey, if you want to cry, and you even talked about this, okay, if you want to cry, cry.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with crying.
Yeah, if you're a guy, like, I'm not gonna call you, oh, you're a girl, you're weak, which girls are not weak either. So that phrase is kind of like outdated.
Yeah, very outdated.
Yeah, if you're crying, hey, it means you're human. It means you're alive because you have emotions. And often we because we hold so much in, one day will explode. And there's a lot of things that come out of that. And one of them is, for those who don't know, it's the highest rate in suicide are men.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the reason behind it is because a lot of men hold their emotions. And there comes a time where all of the emotions you carry leads you to being stressed out, overwhelmed. And as I mentioned before, being stressed out doesn't necessarily just work with work. I have a lot of work going on. You can feel also a lot of emotions that's going on that you hold on to and can lead to saying, I can't handle this no more, and committing suicide, which is really hard. So for those that are young men out there, know that there's nothing wrong with crying, saying that you need help, asking for help, reaching out to someone, saying, I just need to talk. And also making sure that when you are talking to someone, respecting their time is saying what you are wanting.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan said this or I don't remember who said this.
Someone on the show.
Who said, when someone comes up to me, I ask them two or three things. Do you want me to just listen to you? Do you want me to listen to you and give you advice? Or do you want me to just tell you what I think? And to me, that was so powerful, because I was like, I never thought about that. And now I know when someone's talking to me, it's like, hey, do you want me to just listen? Do you want to just rant? Which is totally fine. Sometimes people, that's all we need. Or other times it's like, hey, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. Can you give me an advice? Or what do you think? And so just being respectful of other people as well, having those small little details can lead a really long way, and being respectful of one another, and you not crossing a boundary when someone comes to ask you for help. Because often when someone asks you for help, happens to me right away, I'm like, where's the solution? How's the solution going to be? And when I hear they're like, I just wanted you to listen. I'm like, okay.
And one thing I like to also share is, and just reiterate, is your mental health should always come first. You should always prioritize your mental health above anyone else's. Because if you're not feeling good about yourself and you're hearing other people start telling you about your problems, it's gonna make you feel worse. And if you're not feeling better about yourself, then you need to improve. You need to find ways to improve it. And again, that's the mistake I did, was I think I set my mental health aside for a lot of these friends, and I just kind of gave them the time and day for me to listen to their problems. But then ultimately they didn't give me any of that back. So my mental health suffered even more because I just put it away. Right. So I learned that the hard way, but now I know better. And that's why I am a lot more, when I choose to listen to people talk to me about their mental health issues or their issues at home or their issues anywhere, I just need to make sure that I'm doing all right. And just if I feel it, then I'll just let people know beforehand, hey, look, I'm kind of going through something right now too. I don't know if I can hear this right now because I'm also myself feeling a certain way. So
That's interesting. I haven't thought about that in that way.
yeah.
But I think it's important when you feel that you can't take something in, is letting that person know, hey, I care about you, but I'm not in the position
Exactly.
to take it. How can I, find someone or to listen to you in a way where you can get the support that you need. It's like the metaphor of the plane. We've talked about it a lot. Where
Yeah.
It's like, when the air, what's that called? The oxygen mask comes
yeah.
down. The number one thing they tell you is put it on first, then help the person who needs help. But you can't put it on someone else and then put it on yourself, which I found so interesting. But now I get it.
Exactly.
In order for you to help someone else, you need to be okay
Yes,
first.
that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
So I agree with that. And continue.
Yeah. And then just another thing that on a more personal note here that I've just come to discover, and I think that I myself have been feeling just a lot more come to terms with, is that I have social anxiety. So as in, like, let's say I get invited to a party, and I go with a friend, and I'm the friend is the only person I know, and I'm feeling like, okay, I don't want to go to this, like, I don't really want to go to this party because I don't do very well with large crowds of strangers, because I just don't like.
How does that look like?
Like-
I've heard so many people say that, and I want to know how that looks like.
To me, the way it feels is as soon as I walk into the whatever occasion it be. So, for example, it could be like a house party. I go inside. If I don't know a single person in there, I freeze up. Like, I get very tense, and I start to get very like when I get introduced to people, I'm just very like, oh, hey, hi, nice to meet you, and that's it. And then I kind of just go to a corner, or I find like a quiet spot to just kind of be by myself, because I don't like meeting new I just get, not that I don't like meeting new people, it's just that I get very nervous when I'm around a lot of people that I don't know.
Okay.
Because I think it's just something that came from when I was bullied a lot as a kid, and bullying led me to just not be very social at a young age. So I think since I wasn't really taught that or really experienced like having a lot of friends or talking to a lot of people in different settings, it's just uncomfortable for me to do it now. So that's why I reach out. I let a lot of my friends know, like, hey, if we're gonna be doing this event, I'd rather just it be us or our group of friends, and not us trying to get in. Like, if you guys are gonna go out there to make new friends and meet a bunch of new people, then go for it. But I know that for me personally, that's gonna be a little too much for me to realize. So yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to know because my social anxiety comes in when there's alcohol.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I get nervous and I need someone to be next to me, which is something that I'm working on, because I think in my family, there's, alcoholism that runs in my family. And I think a lot of Latino families face that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fear that I've had with it, even though my dad doesn't drink, and I've never seen him drunk at all, nor my mom. So I'm fine in my circle and I feel comfortable. But when we go, for example, at a family party and there's alcohol, like, I'd rather be with my brother, with my mom, and that's how I feel safe. But I can feel my hands start to sweat, especially if a person who's drinking comes next to me. I feel that freeze where it's like, I can get very nervous. I don't know what to say. But when I feel safe, I can talk and talk and talk and talk.
Yeah.
But I can see, the social anxiety that comes in.
Yeah, because I am an introverted person. I'm not. I'm not an extrovert at all, and I think some people get confused by that by me sometimes because, if you know me personally, and I consider you my friend, like I'm always very talkative. Like I'm always very
Yes, I
like
know.
happy and
Know
all
that.
but I can't be like that around strangers. I just
okay.
can't. I can't be like that. I freeze up and I feel awkward and I feel like everyone's judging me. You know what I mean? So that's the other part. That's the art part of it is like I feel like at parties everyone is just trying to impress each other or everyone's trying to like hook up with someone or try to like try to be someone that they're not. And I don't like that. I don't like that aspect of parties because I feel like everyone just tries to look better than everyone or try to be better than everyone, and I'm just not about that. You know what I mean? I was there to at least try to have a good time, but I can't really have a good time anyways because I don't like meeting strangers.
Now that I think about it, maybe that's why I don't like parties, because I don't like parties. And in general, I would rather have time with my close friends and go out, eat, or go take a trip. I feel like that for me is more my social life, but I'm not into parties very much because I think I see where you're coming from when it comes to not everybody's going to be authentic in a party.
Right.
And that's what you tend to lose.
Authenticity is very important to me.
Yeah.
Like if you're not authentic with me when we first meet, like, and I that's happened a lot where I've met people that I thought were pretty cool, but then when I see them in a party setting or I see them in in a social setting, they like change immediately. Like they snap into a totally different person because they were being actually not real with me or they're acting fake in front of others. You know what I mean? Like it's just people are just like that. And I guess I haven't really understood that until now. But that's why, again, I value authenticity a lot from a person.
Okay.
That's the big point I wanted to make there. But anyways, moving on, I wanted to also talk about redefining strength. So I want to give a quick shout out to Adrian, who is Aragon, who is one of our mental health. He's one of our mental health. He's part of the mental health programs here at MCM. Sorry about that. He is actually, his baby was born today. So congratulations to Adrian. But Adrian's awesome. He is such a big mental health advocate. And he is a part of this campaign called Redefining Strength, which is part of the Men and Boys Action Team of the Marin County Suicide Prevention Collaborative. And basically the campaign is built to play, a part. So by playing a part in men and boys' mental health, we can begin to have an open conversation about what it means to be strong and where we draw strength. The Redefining Strength campaign is meant to inspire new thinking, action, and ultimately lead to change around mental well-being among a population not known for seeking help. So again, there, like you were saying, Santi, there's a lot of men, a lot of boys who don't want to share their emotions or just keep their emotions locked up. And that's just not healthy. Long term, that's just not a healthy thing to do. And what's great about Redefining Strength is that they actually have a men and boys group online. I think they meet monthly. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's bi-weekly or monthly. But it's basically a group that anyone can join. Anyone who identifies as male can join. And we're going to leave the form to sign up for that in the description of this live stream of the show. And again, if you're interested in joining the men and boys group, then click the link below in the description. Because again, it's a good way. It's just good to just talk to people. That's another thing that I just want to reiterate is that us talking right now, this is great. It makes me feel better. And you can just see that when you express your problems, your emotions to someone else, you'll find, like you're saying, if you're just listening, it can go a long way. Or just starting with a conversation. It all starts with a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would highly suggest, even if you are okay, sharing the link to someone you know that might need it in order for us to redefine what strength is. Often we think strength is making it seem like nothing affects you, nothing hurts you. But to me, strength is being able to say, hey, I was hurt by this, and advocating for yourself, and apologizing when you do something that isn't right, quote unquote right, and saying, hey, I'm sorry, and having a genuine I'm sorry. To me, that's strength. But often we see strength as I'm big, I'm unstoppable, I'm unbreakable.
I think especially in males, strength is to look buff or to look big or bigger than everyone else, because that's supposed to make you look better, right? But at the end of the day, if you're mentally not, because I know a lot of guys who go to the gym a lot, and they look great, but in the inside they're doing terrible.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
It's like I said, it's three things you have to make sure they're all working together, not against each other.
And I just always keep that in mind, and I think everyone should, every guy should keep that in mind. Is that, yes, I know our society pressures us to like look the best and always look like we know what we're doing, that we have everything figured out, but we don't always have everything figured out, and we don't know. Again, if we don't take care of ourselves mentally, physically, like you were saying, we're gonna just unbalance out, and we're not even gonna be able to function properly, because there's just that pressure put on to men, and also for women as well. I know that, especially in Latino households, I feel at least some of my friends, who are Latinas, they tell me that they get a lot of pressure from their moms about like how they need to just find a good man who pays well, and continue to teach these really old ideas of how women should be in the household, or how women should be after high school, right? Once they reach like an adult age. And that just affects them even more. You know what I mean? I don't know if you have any perspective to share like on that, but at least from what I've heard from some friends is that, they feel that pressure from their families.
I cannot relate in that way.
Yeah, because I know not every family's like that.
Yeah, because I have my family. We are very, very different in how we think. A lot of the things that are common known in Latino families. But I know now that I'm growing older and older that we have to do a lot of work with ourselves before we can even begin to be in a relationship. Because if I'm not okay and I get with, I'm with someone, there can be a lot of problems. So you have to be mentally, I don't mean like you have to have everything figured out to be with someone. It's you being mentally and emotionally okay in order for you to value yourself and value someone else. We often say, "Oh, that person hurt me." That it's me. It's you and the other person.
Yeah.
Because you guys are in a relationship together. And so for anyone out there, it's who cares about the pressure of your family saying you need to have kids, you need to get married, or you haven't dated anyone. It's okay. It's okay. There's no pressure. There's no rush for you to be in any relationship now.
Right.
Work on yourself. Learn what you like, what you don't like. And later on, you'll meet someone. You never know. You don't plan for those things. But when you do, when the time comes for you to be ready and say, hey, I'm mentally and emotionally capable of this. I'm not saying a relationship is perfect, but that's why you need to be okay, because there's a lot of things that are going to come up. You're going to have to deal with them. And when you don't have those figured out, that's when, abuse comes in. Domestic violence comes in because you didn't deal with those things before you went into a relationship.
Yeah.
And it caused a bigger problem.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing that, Santi. We're right at the end of our show, but I want to thank you and our audience for listening to today's show. Again, if you're feeling a mental health crisis, always remember you can call the 988 number to help you out. And just know that you're loved, and that this is Tay Radio Marin, and we'll catch you guys next week.